At what point, like when you're getting reached out by these major outlets and then boom, Ellen hits you up, like how do you kind of like wrap your head around the fact that, okay, like I really came from like the very bottom, the under bowels of the industry to now literally the biggest daytime.
And the Ellen thing was spurred by what video?
So I had a video where I rap, and it was originally, I got to give them props. It was a Blackalicious video. There was the idea. I didn't use their lyrics, but it was, the concept was like an alliterative, like A, B, C, rapping a bunch of A words, rapping a bunch of B words, C words, going through the whole alphabet, and then it progressively gets faster and faster and faster. And that was, so like the
R.I.P. Gibbs and Gab.
Yeah, absolutely. So the pancake video that I was talking about earlier, that video, that got like 20 million views in like a couple of weeks, and then like a year or two go by and I upload the alphabet video, and that did like 1 million in like 4 hours. I remember it was the first time I ever uploaded something. I was like, all right, let's see how it does. Hopefully it gets, 60,000 views after a month. And I uploaded it and went to bed, and then woke up like 4 or 5 hours later and it had 1 million views. I was like, what? I refreshed it thinking that it like YouTube broke. I was like, this can't possibly be a thing. Like I did not just get 1 million views in 4 hours. And this was like 2013, 14, something like that. But that's what happened, and it blew up. And then like Carson Daly hit me up. I went on his show. Ellen hit me up. So Ellen was just like, their people hit me up and they're like, we want to have you out. We want to fly you out. They brought me to the studio and put me up in a hotel and flew me out, and I performed on the Ellen show. And so that was great. It was just another thing. It was just like another achievement of knowing that I never signed a major label, stayed right there in Kansas City and did this all myself.
But when you're doing stuff like getting all this mainstream attention / doing the book deal and all this TV development and stuff, like we've seen a lot of that like derail people's YouTube careers. Yeah. Did that kind of happen to you, or did you keep going with that as well?
Nah, man, there was a time, I think I had been around so long and gone through so many different nights of wishing the shit would work out, and years of seeing MySpace vaporize into nothing, and then Facebook emerge, and then like I've just been around for a long time, and I try not to get too high or low when anything like that happens. I get excited about shit. Rogan hits you up, he's like, come on the show, you're like, yeah, even coming on here, like this is like, it's all these different things where it's like, I'm a fan of these platforms, or acknowledge that they're big platforms, and getting to go on them is like yet another achievement. But I try to keep it all in front of me and just be like, listen, like this is what I'm here for, and I'm here to promote my voice. So
as you mature, it's like, even if you get an opportunity to do something that's really, really big, you kind of learn to like not treat it like it's that big a deal.
Yeah, you have to, because the converse of that is when you treat things like they're big deals, then when you hit a valley, it hurts.
You still want to be all right with yourself.
Yeah. So I found that if things do well or things do poorly, I try to stay as even as I possibly can, because it's the safest way to try to have longevity.
I've learned that from being a poker player, is that it's easy to have a good night when you're winning, but the guy who can have a bad night and lose a bunch of money and still have his head on straight, that's like a real skill. That's a real professional. You know?
And you got to have some bankroll too.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. You got to be able to have to be able to sustain that.
Yeah. I see a lot of rappers, and this is the thing that fascinates me, kind of what we were talking about before, about like younger kids that blow up. I look at if I see some 19-year-old kid and he's got a hot song and his career takes off and his Instagram is 2 million after a few months, I'm like, okay, that's great. But then I see he's 19 years old, and I'm like, just knowing what happens in life outside of music that would derail somebody's life just by working as a real estate agent or something. But then you have all these people that will turn on you in a second. You make one wrong move this way, you say the wrong thing, you talk out the side of your neck one day, you make the wrong video and people don't like it, and you'll alienate all these people. And it's like, or like what you were talking about earlier, people, they step back a little bit, then they get cold, whatever it is, some sort of controversy happens. It's always interesting to me, because I see people blow up and I'm like, eventually there's going to be some sort of fork in the road, some sort of ravine that you're going to fall into. And the people that last are the people that can climb out. And it's not everybody can. In fact, most people can't.
But did you experience that kind of stuff early on? Because, you know, the underground rap world is not necessarily going to be mega friendly to people who are taking on these mainstream looks.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me was like the first times that I ever went out on like a solo tour, like after Rhymesayers put out one of my albums, and I toured with Atmosphere a bunch, and I was in front of, 2,000 people a night. And then I remember in like 2007, 2008, going on a solo tour and hoping that the shows would be just jam-packed with people, and then pulling into a crowd and there'd be 13 people there. And I'd be like I have all these things happen, and I'm in, Lubbock, Texas, and there's 13 people and I got to perform. And I'm like, those nights hurt. And it hurt you in a way where it just humbles you. And it's one of those things where I think just feeling like, okay, like always remember, you never know what's on the menu for you that night or that day, and that just stay humble. And instead of being like, there's only 13 people here, being like, well, okay, there's 13 people here, go out and perform for them. You got to work harder. You got to go harder. You got to humble yourself and not think that you should just walk into these venues and there's just a line out the door. And because you heard this rapper 2 weeks ago had sold the place out, and you're like,
Moneybagg Yo sold it out. So
Moneybagg Yo sold it out. Why didn't I? Like, so that was dude, I'll even tell you, funny enough, I played at a place called Trees in Dallas. I want to say 2011. This is maybe before the Pancake thing happened. I might be getting the years wrong. I've done this a long time. But I played at Trees in Dallas. I headlined, and there were like 80 people there. And I remember I was kind of down on myself. I'm like, man, like that's not good. And I remember one of the bartenders was like, why was there only 80 people here tonight? Didn't Mac Lethal sell the venue out 2 weeks ago? And a person that worked there goes, no, that was Mac Miller. And I remember being like, man, like, so not only is there only, but now I got to know that Mac Miller sold this shit out just 2 weeks ago, and like he's younger, and but it was just like one of those things where it's like, that's the type of shit that toughens you, and it's like, yeah, man, you're gonna have that happen.